Think about families, and I'm gonna use generalizations here. And I think about the power dynamic within families. It is typically the leading generation, the senior generation has the power. They have built a business, started the family office, whatever the case might be. They typically hold the purse strings, and they've been driving decisions since the succeeding generation has been young. And as I look at clients that I work with, one of the biggest points of friction within families is this power dynamic and the succeeding generation not feeling like they are empowered to make decision, nor do they feel like they have the ability to influence the outcomes. Can you talk a little bit about that influencing? If we frame it up around next gen and the senior generation or the leading generation, looking at this power influence dynamic, what does that look like from a family perspective?
Yeah, so for one thing is I'll add another variable into this conversation, and that variable is status. So that's something that I spend a lot of time looking at
Mm,
is power and status and the distinctions between them. So if power is resource control, status is respect. How much do I respect and value people? And one of the things we see from science is that power follows status. Where do the resources go? They go to the people who are respected and valued. And the
yeah.
thing with respect is it exists only in other people's minds. So you can be the most credentialed, the smartest person in the room, have amazing ideas. It doesn't guarantee that your audience will respect and value you. And so I think when you have family dynamics, you have, I think about this in my own life, one as a parent
Yeah.
and a child, and as a child of somebody who had a family business that I wanted no part of because of issues related to status. And
Power,
so
status, and influence.
right? And so I like in academia, there is essentially an unwritten rule that every university follows. And I thought it was weird at the time, and now I understand it. And that is that universities will not hire their own doctoral students. So you get a PhD from Stanford, you can be guaranteed that at least for a very long time, you will never work at Stanford. You
Yeah.
have to go somewhere else. And I always thought that was strange. And they said it's a status thing. It's too hard for the faculty to go from seeing you as the baby
Yeah.
to all of a sudden seeing you as a peer or maybe even a superior when you ultimately outperform them and outrank them. And so for that reason, they just send you off and they send you out into somewhere. And we can't do that with our families. And so there are status dynamics of thinking about my father is 77 years old. He is on a plane on his way to see me right now. And you know, I'm 49 and still when we interact, there is some element of like, I'm the parent, you're the child, and the status dynamics are hard to overcome
Totally.
and you find yourself falling into those roles. So that like adds an extra layer of like. So when we step back and we think, how do people gain power? People gain power by gaining status. When we respect and value other people's contributions, we are much more likely to give them the resources to control. And so all human beings, regardless of whether or not you're in a family enterprise or not, are going to have to navigate status dynamics and think about how do I show up in ways that are going to get my audience, whoever it is, to see me as two things very capable and very concerned, not just about myself, but about helping the collective. And when people start to
Yeah.
believe those things, then power becomes a lot easier for us to acquire. And so, what I often talk to people about is you have a power problem, but you probably fundamentally at your core have a status problem.
Yeah.
And how do we get people to see us as valuable contributors, equal players, et cetera, and thinking about that?